If I would ask you what matters now, what would you answer? What comes to mind first? If I would be sitting across from you with my microphone turned on, looking at you with my curious green eyes, I would hit record. Maybe you'd ask yourself if it really mattered what you had to share. Maybe you'd wonder if someone else had already shared a similar thought or said it better than you ever could. But then I'd encourage you to just share from the heart, and I'd smile. And you would hear that smile in my voice. This exact situation unfolded a few weeks ago at the TEDxTinHauWomen event in Hong Kong. Many women and men courageously stepped into a recording booth that booked put up for #Impact at this incredible TEDx event, a celebration of what matters now. Hundreds of people felt the energy in the theater thanks to the bold and brilliant speakers and the many volunteers that built a bridge of connection, counting down to a new year that at that time was just around the corner. What you hear today is inspired by the times we live in, with all its frustrations and challenges. What you'll hear is colorful ambitions, limitless hopes for the future. You hear about longing and belonging, and as you listen, I want to encourage you to reflect on your answer, because really, it is where it all begins. I am Regina Larco, and you are listening to #Impact, a podcast about stuff that matters. And this is what matters.
We're already recording.
Now.
We're already
great.
rolling. Please come in my recording booth. Yes, drop the stuff. Come in. So I think for me, creativity, compassion, and love. Because I think with the last couple of years, it's been very tough for everybody. Not like no matter where you live, what you do, you know. And I think there's a lot of much more compassion required in the world. And creativity, because I think we've been like in this negative up and down. We've all kind of had like anxiety about what's going to happen. And I think if you put out something creative in the world, it just makes you feel better. Like it makes it more beautiful. And, you know, so I think that for me, being a creative person, I think that's very important, especially in today's time, you know. So.
Thank you. The women speak here today. I hope that one day I have the confidence to do the same and speak in a large group about what I'm passionate about, which is mental health. I think people need to be more open about talking about mental health. We need to break the stigma surrounding mental health, and I'm a huge advocate for it at my work. So we have events and sessions for local staff and our foreign staff, and just trying to get a more open community talking about it at work, but also outside of work.
I love that. We had a couple of episodes at #Impact that focused on mental health. It's a topic really close to my heart too. So what organization are you with?
I'm with the British Council, Hong Kong. We're an international organization. We focus on teaching and events and broadening awareness of the community of British culture and connecting other cultures. It's quite a diverse organization.
Take a leap. You're taking a leap. You are for sure the bravest woman I've met today, because I just lured you into my recording booth, didn't I?
Little did I know.
Little you know. So what I'm doing here is I'm collecting voices of our beautiful TEDxTinHauWomen here today that came to be part of this beautiful event to share their voices, your voice. What matters now?
Balance. Finding balance between family and work. Finding balance between generations. I think having family overseas, and I think all experiencing COVID and world politics a bit differently. It's hard sometimes when you have different opinions to still find the common ground and stay connected. So finding those balance points.
Beautiful. And you just came up with that, just like
what
that
matters
now.
now?
So what matters now? For us at Supergoop, as one of your sponsors, I'm very, very happy to be here. What matters now is continuing our mission to bring clean beauty SPF to the world. The mission of Supergoop is to change the way the world thinks about sunscreen, and by the world, we really mean the world, and to eradicate skin cancer. So what matters now for us is more than ever, with COVID, with pandemics, the focus is on not only ourselves but also the planet, and how we build in a sustainable way a future that's better for all of us. And we feel that Supergoop fits really beautifully into that vision because we are able to offer a clean product. So we're able to ensure that we're not only looking after ourselves, but we're looking after the planet. And we do so with a smile. And it's also really important to be positive and glass half full. And our brand is about, Supergoop is about living your best life in the sunshine. You don't have to worry about protection. We got you covered. So, go out, live your life, check off your bucket lists, be positive and be a force for good.
What matters now, I think, is first and foremost probably kindness. I think we need to probably give ourselves a little bit more runway to express kindness and not see it as a weakness. I think that's it, really, in every aspect. You want to be strong at work, you want to be strong in your personal life, and I think a lot of people have taken a very sharp edge to that, and maybe it's time to soften up a little bit because the world is very hard now. And I think probably just drink more water. Yeah. Always drink more water. I'm trying to drink more water.
Oh, me too. But how can we manage? How can we do that? Because I put that bottle on my desk, and I'm like, I'm gonna finish this by come lunch, and then I didn't. But I actually finished 2 coffees.
You know what's hilarious? It's competition for me. Like if I'm competing with a friend who can drink more water, then I will commit to it. Which is my point, is that competition, it's aggressive, and that's what we're used to. That's a motivator. How can you be motivated by kindness? How can you be motivated by something softer rather than a push? That I honestly think about that a lot, especially being like a Filipino woman in Hong Kong, where Filipinos are seen so gentle, soft, sweet, but I'm not. And that's a very confronting thing to a lot of people around me. But yeah, a lot of things there.
Thank you. That was perfect. Matters
thank you.
now.
Okay, to me, inner peace and tranquility and a good night sleep matters to me, so that I can face the day and be there for my family and my young children and for my husband and for myself, and that we can continue on this very uncertain, absurd and crazy journey that our life has become in the past 2 years, and still be optimistic and smile and hope that the light at the end of the tunnel will start blinking ever so lightly, and then hopefully stronger and with more certainty. That's what matters to me right now. And that my children are happy, and that they still take time to appreciate that, or to discover that this isn't normal, because my daughter, who turned 9 on Sunday, suddenly started crying. She said, "This doesn't feel right. This doesn't feel normal." And I said to her, "Why? What is it about the cake that we still haven't cut? Is it your gift?" She said, "I miss Grandma." And it was really shocking to me, because she's still a child and they're not overly close. They hardly get to speak to each other on the phone. But I think she gets it, that it's not normal. And it's really sad for all of us that, we should be able to do this. Our parents should be able to see our children. and both sides are deprived of this opportunity.
I don't think it's crazy that your child said that to you, because I have 3 children as well, small children, and I think they feel how much we miss them as well.
Of course, yes, they're little humans, and I think, I don't think we give them enough credit for how wise and mature they actually are underneath all the sweetness and innocence and purity and playfulness.
Yes.
Yeah. So that's what's on my mind.
Thank you for sharing.
Thank you
that.
so much.
Thank you.
Thank you for giving this moment of peace and tranquility and opportunity to reflect of what exactly I'm thinking about today.
I'm glad.
What's your name?
Regina.
Oh, thank you, Regina.
Lovely to meet you.
Lovely
What's
to
your
meet
name?
Yana.
Yana.
Yana is my name.
Lovely to meet you, Yana.
Lovely to meet you, Regina.
Thank you. Enjoy the talks. You're here
Absolutely.
as a participant.
No, I'm here as a guest. I'm listening. I'm sitting
Yes,
back and
good.
listening.
Yes, enjoy.
Others talk. Nice to meet you,
good to
Regina.
meet you.
Bye.
Bye.
How do I exit?
What matters now is, for me, awareness and action, and to see more of that in people. So I think if we could all be a little bit more aware of ourselves and what we can bring to the world and our own superpowers, our own strengths, and then really tap those and then take some action. So if every single person knows what they can do to bring to the world and can bring more gifts or service to the world, then take action to help others, one person at a time, maybe one day at a time. So these small things that can collectively lead to bigger things. So, especially in a world that's so volatile and challenging and ever-changing, if we just tackle little things that we can control and really using our own gifts and gifting that out to the world, I think that is, the start of big change. So that's what matters to me, is that everybody becomes a little bit more aware and does something about it, takes some action.
Kind of think about it properly. When I wrote on the board about what matters to me at the moment, I was thinking about looking after ourselves and each other, because I think at the moment, especially being out here, the 2 of us are both pretty far from our families at the moment. So I think those friendships that we've got with each other and our other friends have become really important at the moment, especially as Christmas is coming.
And of course, as we're airing, looking into the new year, as well, this is something that's timeless, right? The friendships to each other. I'm so happy you have each other here in Hong Kong, far away from home. Where's home for you?
I'm from the UK.
And
I'm
you?
from the UK as well.
Yeah. So what matters to you?
As Emily said, it's really nice to obviously have good friendships here. I think as well we both work in education, so basically teaching those values to students as well. I'm quite motivated by the environment and protecting the environment, so we've been teaching a lot about that in our NGO, so that's been great, especially off the back of COP26. And from a women's standpoint as well, how it negatively impacts women and girls, so I think that's also a really important part and what matters to me, and teaching students about that impact as well.
Let's give a shout out to that NGO you're working with.
Chatteris Educational Foundation.
Yeah,
Chatteris.
Yes. So thank you so much for joining today, and enjoy.
Thank you so much.
You have just experienced your first podcast experience. How was that?
Great. We're so giggly, both of us.
Maybe you should start your own podcast.
Get practicing first.
You're kidding? Yes. Oh my god. Oh. So now I have this standing here. I'm gonna put this here. So, okay. We're doing it. So, alright. What matters now?
What matters now is the people in your life, your family and friends, but also pursuing your dreams, not giving up, holding on to that dream no matter how impossible it seems, and doing everything to go after it.
Yes.
So, yay! I need to keep talking or I'm done?
No, that's all right. That's all right. I will try to get as many voices in as possible.
Yeah,
but we should have a longer talk at some point.
we'll
right?
catch up. I'm sure we can do a lot to collaborate.
Yes.
I'm a big fan of yours.
Yes, same here. I'm so excited to have, was it actually recording? Yes. So I think what matters now to me is connection with people around you and community. So that was the speech or the speaker that spoke about that connected to me most today. I think we forget, and it's so easy to just live in our own world, be in our own cubicle, on our phones, and just thinking about ourselves and only ourselves. I think that every human being serves an existence that should extend beyond just us. And we should just connect with people, make an impact around us.
I think at the moment what really matters is having some form of connections in this fragmented world we're living in because of COVID. Especially in Hong Kong, many people aren't able to travel for many reasons. And just the stress we don't realize that has occurred on so many people, that just to smile at someone, to say hi to someone is a huge thing. I mean, throughout COVID, I was walking on Bowen Road, and I think people thought I was a little bit loopy because I would say hello to literally every single person. Like I saw, if someone looked up, I would smile, I'd say hi. Over the last year and a half, there's this lovely elderly lady who now has a chat with me every day. She must be in her 70s. And I thought I was actually kind of being nice to her, but it's helped me so much. I was like, oh, she reminds me of my auntie back in London. There's just, I think connection is a really strong thing. So yeah, I could talk forever, but I'm not going to.
Lovely to meet you.
You too.
Thank you for being brave, coming in my podcast
now.
Oh, I think it differs for each person. I think what they've attempted to do today is pick what collectively matters to everyone, or they feel would be pertinent to everyone. And I think they're extremely valid topics and topics which I have thought about but never had the chance to think about, oh wow, that is really topical and that's really, really important. But I think each person has very different things that matter to them, right? And I'm trying to buy time now to think about what matters for me, right?
I can tell, and that's all right.
What matters to me? I think what matters to me is happiness. And I think there are many different drivers of happiness, right? I think it is it's doing what. Let me gather my thoughts. I think it is. It's about people. It's about experiences. It is about time with yourself and whether you feel you're doing what you want to do in life. And I know I'm rambling a little, but I think all of those are inputs, yes. Right? And health is something that's important, right? And I know it sounds very superficial because there are many bigger issues in the world, and I think those are all important as well, right? I mean, like some of the topics we spoke about today, I think about awareness on issues like gender equality, racial awareness, socioeconomic awareness, and so on. All of those are important things, right? And are inputs into, in my mind, what drives people and makes them happy, right? So I'm really not answering this.
You are very diplomatic about it, but yeah. I hear you. There are a lot of issues that we can care about, and we all have, given any time the day, could change as well.
I mean, in terms of bigger picture issues, I think there's, there's things like the wealth gap in the world. I think that's a very, very big issue, and I think that's one that's only going to get exacerbated with time if we continue the way we are. And I think it's going to lead to a whole lot of other issues, right? In terms of from a political perspective, from a social perspective, and so on. So I think that's a very, very topical issue as well. Yeah.
Thank you.
No, thank you.
You did well. You did very well. That's it.
Okay, good.
Oh my goodness. So they are announcing that we should head back in. The speeches are continuing. But before we can, we need to get the big question of today answered. What matters now?
For me, it matters to be stress-free, anxiety-free, pain-free. Being more mindful is what matters to me more now, especially I think after COVID struck. Being happy with what just you have is what matters to me now. What matters to me now is not looking forward to the next trip. I realized how that was just a small escape. What matters to me now is to address my fears and insecurities. I hate it. I still don't address it, but I know it has to be.
And now it's on the record on #Impact that you're going to do that.
Yes. Don't corner me like this.
Yeah. Oh my goodness, hi. Someone waving here as well. Oh my God, all these lovely people. What matters to you now?
For me, I think the biggest thing that I've learned and that matters is living in the moment. I think it's always been about the past or the future. We've always been worried about that. So I think that is the thing that I'm focusing on the most. Self-love, living in the moment, and being happy and contented in where you are.
Yes. And we're going to head back in there to get all inspired by the beautiful talk.
It's a perfect day for it.
Thank you for spending a moment with me in this. Isn't this kind of like a sanctuary?
It is.
It's nice
such a cool idea.
I can hear a little bit of my sound and I'm like, that's me. Speak your heart.
Speak, yes.
I like it. I like it too.
Thank you.
You have a nice day.
Now let's head to the talks. Before we continue listening, I want to take a moment to say thank you to the incredibly amazing team of TEDxTinHauWomen that has made this day so very special. It takes month and month of organizing, and they all volunteered their time to make each speaker shine. They also build a community that uplifts and inspires each other. The moment that really got me was when they all hit the stage for the grand finale. All speakers and the whole organizing committee stood in front of the crowd. I had tears in my eyes many times during the speeches, but this was the moment I started sobbing in my chair, because having been part of the organizing committee of TEDxTinHauWomen in the past myself, I felt and still feel this deep gratitude for all the amazing people I got to meet thanks to this community. At TEDxTinHauWomen.com, you can also become part of it too.
Right, what matters now? I'm going to say freedom. And I think that's kind of pertinent because last time I spoke to you was about stopping slavery. So you could look at it in that angle, but I'm actually thinking just everything that we've all been through with COVID, all the restrictions, everything that, you know, from lockdowns to social distancing to, lack of travel, being sort of kept in your own boundaries in so many different ways, working from home, homeschooling, all of those things, I think have shown us that freedom that we had before has, really been eroded. And I think there's a whole range of other things that is being impacted around that. So that's what I think really matters, is freedom. And so I guess maybe we have to redefine what freedom is, what it means to us, and really enjoy the things that we can when we can. Because the things that I think have really, suffered for people is, that lack of freedom to be able to go and see family and friends, especially for people like us who have adopted a new home. So, freedom.
Not like a bonus talker kind of a way, but no, your podcast and I remember some of the stuff that you had written, because I'm in the not sustainability in terms of like environment sustainability, but in the social impacts, in the NGO sector, and more on the investment side. And so it's so important, especially in terms of the Asian philanthropy sector, that we start to understand sort of the roots behind philanthropy when it comes to this region, because it's not that it hasn't existed. I mean, Asians were known to help people, but we are now finally able to put a structure to that whole thing and do philanthropy in a way, not just in terms of legacy building, but in terms of actually looking out for future generations that don't just belong to your family or to your own community, but actually start including the wider communities in order to make a long-term sustainable impact. And your podcast about stuff that matters, that's all about us, isn't it? Like, we are now starting to appreciate the enormity that we are one giant community, and we can't just looking after ourselves or our family or just our friends, but the larger community impacts us and we impact them. So anyway, that's what I've been following, eh?
Yes. So that actually brings me to the question that I'm asking today all the amazing participants in the community of TEDxTinHauWomen is, what matters now?
So it's a very poignant question at a very poignant time in my life. I am in the process of being a career changer. So I've had, like I said, a career before in, impact investing, but also in like philanthropy, foundation building and all that. I'm now looking to use those experiences and get into law. And I have found such amazing mentors along the journey, which has made me realize one thing that matters now is not just mentorship, but sponsorship. Because if you are just talking to people and telling them what's new or what's right, but if you're not using your social capital to take them from place A to B, the mentorship ends at stage A. It doesn't get the person to stage B, which only happens through sponsorship. And I've been so incredibly fortunate that I've had mentors who have gone beyond and have opened that door. And one of my mentors is actually a partner at Mayor Brown who champions this cause at the firm. And so, it's been, her name is Amita Haylock. And I mean, if I could create a Horcrux of that woman, the Harry Potter reference, I would do it. But, mentors are so important and not just in the traditional sense. And I think that is what matters today, because we need people who are willing to inspire the next generation, not just in some lofty goal, but to actually take them through that journey and give them the empowerment to be bigger than they were. And that is what matters.
Oh, beautiful! So a question from me today.
Oh.
That's going to go on #Impact Podcast.
Oh my God.
Are you listening to the podcast?
Well, I will going forward.
Especially to this one.
Yes. Brilliant.
So, what matters now?
All right. I like to say there is a bright side or a silver lining to COVID, and I dare saying that. I've personally been through hell with COVID matters. When in Hong Kong 2 years from now, people were complaining about our freedom and, why the masks and this and that. I had my mother getting to ICU in Europe and in coma for 2 months and a half. I can speak about it because it's a happy ending. She's a survivor. It's fantastic. But I had a different reading, very intimate, about the COVID, right? So what do matters now, I would say, is health. And it's just like focusing on it. Like, we like to enjoy life and so on, but it doesn't mean that being healthy is boring. We can make it and while having fun.
What matters now is in 2022 to come is that we all live happy and healthy. For 2 years, I haven't seen my parents, so I'm finally making the decisions to go alone in January to see them. It's a very tough call because that means I would leave the kids behind. But they're perfectly healthy now, and I really want to go see them when there's really for no reason. I don't want to wait till there's a reason to go and see them. So I think that's the same for everyone who has folks or families, away from you. I don't think, let's just say you can't just wait for the right moment, the right time to go see them. Just, go with your heart. If you feel like you will have to go, then just go.
Yes, yes.
Gosh, I think we're at a time in the world where we need to be honest about the things that affect us, and silence is not something that has helped us a lot in the past. And I think it doesn't matter whether that's climate. In my case, that's childhood sexual abuse, and that's a project that I work on here. And I think it's a terrible and a great moment in history that we have an opportunity to change things.
For me, what matters now is family. It's been more than 2 years since I last saw my family, and holidays is coming up. And I came from the Philippines, and the Christmas holidays is like a really huge thing. And actually, so sometimes like during the pandemic, you realize that, because I live alone in Hong Kong, and there were times where I was like really disconnected with the world. And having that lack of family, even if you have friends, even if you have colleagues, it's still very different. And for me, like, my family is my rock. And like having not seen them for the past 2 years, even if Hong Kong is normal, we can go out and we can celebrate, but there's still sort of like that a bit of lump in your heart that you can't see your family. So for me, what matters now is family. And I know that we're still in the middle of the pandemic. Like with all the quarantine requirements in Hong Kong and all that, it makes it very difficult to travel, to go back. But we still have technology. We can still stay connected, although it's not as like deep as when you actually see them. I can just imagine the moment when I finally see my mom in person. I'll probably be like bawling and crying. And yeah, so for me, that's what matters now, because especially with the holiday seasons, and it's getting cold in Hong Kong, kind of want that warmth. Not just warmth physically, but that sort of like warmth in your heart. Yeah.
I feel with you.
Yeah.
Yes. We also have
Right now, what matters, I think, is family. And making sure you have your me time. I think that's really important, because family can get overwhelming, especially like Chinese cultures, living at home right now for me, while I'm waiting to come back or go back to the US. It's very important to make sure you have that time for yourself so that you don't get stressed out at home, but making sure you get to do what you want to do as well. Like, finding that balance is very hard, and doesn't happen overnight, right? It takes a lot of time and patience, and recognizing how, realizing what you're doing for your career or for your family, how that makes an impact to them, but how you also make sure you take care of yourself. I think that's really important right now. Yeah.
Do you want to tell our listeners where we are here right now?
We're at the, am I pronouncing it right, Sichu Center? And
I guess. I'm also not quite sure of the pronunciation.
We're in a booth right now, this lovely booth. So, blocking out all the sounds. We can't hear anything. It's great. And we're at TEDxTinHauWomen with TEDx, and it's a really, really good talk right now. Session 1 was fantastic.
Did you have a favorite talk so far?
I did. Well, it was such a hard question. They were all so good.
They're all so good, right?
I think Louisa was my favorite.
Yes.
I think that is very...
Shout out to fellow podcaster, Homegrown Podcast.
Yes.
Isn't she amazing?
She's amazing. It really resonated with what she said. George Floyd, like, no protest here. That was very, very heartbreaking to, know that, how come they didn't do anything about it? Where other countries were all out protesting. And George Floyd isn't the only one, right? There were so many other people that were impacted. He wasn't the only one, unfortunately. So, yeah.
Thank you for sharing your voice.
Yeah,
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Yes.
Relationship and time matters. This past year has been a lot of changes for everybody. I think to really know the people around you, to really spend time with them, I think is the most precious part, where we get to pause, where we get to rethink of our what our important part of our life, what's most important to us at the end of the day. It's not just about traveling far and away, to be able to get away, to be able to feel what your heart's trying to say to you. It's more about what really is gripping you the most. And I think at the end of the day, for me, myself, I was spending more time with family, far and back in Hong Kong. I was in Michigan and Egypt, and then back in Hong Kong, and I'm very grateful for this time.
Thank you for sharing this. How does it feel to be on your first podcast? Oh, I assume it's your first podcast. Is this your first podcast?
Yes, first podcast.
First podcast? How you feel in this booth?
it is pretty amazing to be able to have this space and time when the event is happening, a busy event, yeah.
Because listeners, I mean, we are surrounded by approximately, I think they said around almost 1,000 participants today, all around us. It's a busy, buzzing event. We just seen a couple of amazing speakers, more to come, and then we're in this booth, kind of like a little,
quiet space.
Quiet space just for us. Isn't it wonderful?
It is absolutely wonderful, yeah. And it actually feels like we're inside like somebody's heart, inside somebody's world, and like the listeners are part of our work right here.
You are now with us here in this box in the heart of Hong Kong on a beautiful sunny day, in the midst of all this buzz, finding our quiet moment. Thank you for sharing this with me.
Thank you so much.
And the question I want to ask you is, what matters now?
This is a very interesting question. For me, it's about ideas. Is what matters most right now. So you can see that even big corporates, they are all looking for ideas that can solve very complex situations, especially in the pandemic era. We're still in the pandemic. We're not even in a post-pandemic era. So I myself has the experience of driving social innovation and sustainability with young people throughout this year. And actually, I have come to know about UNMDG a decade ago. And looking back, thinking about now, as you asked about now, we are already very close to 2030 actually. And
with the SDG global goals, 2030,
the vision.
The vision that we have, because I'm mentioning this is actually the theme of our season 5 of #Impact, the Sustainable Development Goals. And we are really close, you're right.
Yes. So what I mean about idea is that everyone is looking for the last mile. Corporates, they have the resources, and we have NGOs and charities, SMEs and governments. So we all just need to exchange what we feel about what matters most now. And we set agenda and think of an idea that can actually work with collective effort. And so I can see that this is a way for us to create a really sustainable ecosystem, because we cannot solve the issue alone. No one can. Even the government or the very big listed company, they cannot do that. So I really think what matters most now is young people's idea, and to act on the idea and make it work.
So for me now, I really want to polish more about my professionalism, to be a good journalist, and also to discover some stories that can have some meanings to the society, and hopefully some stories that society can, sometimes neglect. And by doing that, we can try to make this world a little bit better. So I know this is kind of cliche, but this is kind of the purpose that drives me to continue to move forward in this journalism world. Yeah.
And I can relate a lot, because that's what we are all about at #Impact. It's so lovely to meet you here at this event.
It's great to see you as well. And I feel like this is a very lovely event where you can meet a lot of people, hearing their stories, especially some topics that can really touch your heart. And I feel like I almost cried when a speaker's during a speech. And I think it will be great if there will be more and more this kind of event where people can gather together and just to talk and share their stories and get inspired.
Yes,
yeah,
absolutely.
Thank you so much.
What matters now?
So what's matter now is it's a big question, and there's so many subjects that matter. But for me, what matters is cultural diversity. Actually launched social enterprise promoting cultural diversity in a workplace here in Hong Kong called All Rooted. And originally from Senegal, grew up in France, worked in the US, and arrived in Hong Kong 2 years and a half back. And I was so excited to be able to discover a new culture. And it's like, okay, I'm gonna be like surrounded by people from different culture, learn about like, and even learn Mandarin or Cantonese, here, especially in Hong Kong. And I realized that's not happening. It's not happening. And I start to understand, to ask myself why. You work here, and why there's Hong Kong is such a multicultural city, but at the same time, people stay in the community. So me, as a French, I stay a lot with French people, but yeah, you don't get this connection between the community, and so that's why I decided to launch All Rooted and to start talking about cultural bias in the workplace, and get people to talk about where they're coming from, to know about their religion, to know about their background, because I figure if they start talking and having those, maybe it's not all about misconception, maybe say, okay, French people are, we're always they don't want to work with us, maybe because, I don't know. So I was really curious about that. So what really matters for me is driving the conversation about cultural awareness here in Hong Kong.
Oh, that's wonderful. Oh, I'm
right.
gonna roll right away.
Hello.
One of the few
Are you rolling?
brave men in the audience today. Look.
One of the only men in the audience.
And he's brave to step into the box, the #Impact podcast box.
I love it.
Are you listening to podcasts already?
I try to listen to podcasts as much as I can. Yeah. I am a scientist, and I can't listen to podcasts and do work in the lab, but in commute, I absolutely do.
Yeah, probably you have already listened to #Impact.
I have actually. Well, I have listened to it before.
Have you really?
Yes, because I'm part of the TEDx community.
Yes.
So
it has come across.
It has come across. Yeah.
Okay. Remember what it was all about?
No.
The episode?
No, honestly, I knew. I was like, she's gonna ask. I'm like, I don't actually remember.
That's all right. Good, but thank you for subscribing to the podcast. What matters now?
I think the most important thing in my life right now that matters now is what I think I would phrase as environmental equality. I'm a marine biologist and environmental scientist by trade, and I've been doing it now for over 15 years, and it started as a passion, and it started because I love science, and I love adventure, and I love exploring and asking questions and getting data and going down this incredible rabbit hole of personal and team-based development. And I just found myself focused on the marine world and found myself in environmental science, which is generally the interaction of humans in the environment. And I was head down in that world for a very long time, but it's almost impossible now to do this work and not realize the negative aspects of human influences on the earth. And not just the negative aspect of humans to environment, but humans to environment and then back to humans. So where there's an inequality, where there are people living in affluence in one situation and others living in poverty, but whether that's food-driven or habitat, home-driven, we're not animals, wealth, whatever. And it's this imbalance, that I think is extremely important to talk about, both, from a human element. We clearly need to be taking better care of our earth, but at the same time, we need to be taking better care of us because we are of the earth. And there's this theory in conservation biology, as a conservation biologist, where, it's this old competing theory. It's one of those things in science that doesn't really matter anymore, but people still like to argue about it. And it's whether or not humans are part of an ecosystem or we're exterior to an ecosystem, and just the only thing we can do is negative, right? I like to think of it as like our cities are our own spider webs that we've made, and is it part of the surrounding ecosystem or is it something we've removed? And I think we need to get back into this understanding that we are part, as cheesy as it sounds, are part of this world. And not only do we need to take better care of it, but we need to think about each other and do it in an equal way for everyone around there. I don't know. That's what comes to mind. Off the top of the head.
Well done. I'm gonna
I used to do cassette tape, and I would just
Me
record.
too.
Really?
Yeah.
Yes. And then what happened with that dream?
Well,
what are you doing now?
Well, I'm an illustrator, so that's my other dream. So it's fine. Yeah.
Creative.
Yeah.
Communicating with the arts.
Yes.
That's what we do.
Yeah.
This is all art,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Okay. Oops. You ready for your question?
Okay, yes.
What matters now?
What matters now? I think what matters now is seeing how I think lately for me, I've been seeing like, I just have like ways of thinking where I'm just like stuck. Okay, I just want to think like this. Like I want to think, oh, people don't like me, people don't want to work with me, or like just things like that. And it's really hard for me to like trust that, like, okay, maybe it'll work out. So I think what matters now is kind of just changing our way of thinking and not being stuck in this mode of thinking that's not working for us, even though that's super hard. And then sometimes I'm like, no, I want to be stuck in my box and like it's comfortable here. But I think if we want to get what we really want in life, then we're going to have to start finding new ways of being in the world.
Thank you for sharing this.
Yeah. Thanks for having me. It's fun here.
It's kind of nice.
It's very quiet, so I like that. Yeah.
It's nice. So we are wrapping up here a long day at TEDxTinHauWomen. What an amazing day it was.
Oh my God, yeah. So I came to help my friend, and then so she was like, well, I have the ticket to see the talk. So I was like, okay, well, why not? And then when I came, I was just like blown away, and I was like so inspired. I think the fertility talk and the screen time talk, like those really touched me. Yeah. How about you? What did you?
Gosh,
like?
there was moments in each and every single talk where I felt I could resonate, I could understand, I could learn something new about the world and myself.
Yeah.
It was amazing.
Yeah. Did anyone ask you what matters now for you? I think you should answer.
Oh, now you turn the tables.
Yeah.
Oh gosh. For me, a big intention I want to set for 2022. And I'm putting this now on the record to remind myself of it when I'm hearing my voice say it, is to actually take more of these moments of putting the phone away like I did today in the talks. Just listen and reflect on it and not always rush to the next thing.
Yeah.
Just to create that space for myself to just be.
And enjoy the moment.
Yeah. And it's really hard to do that.
Yeah. It's because we're always trying to rush to the next project or like, how can I be successful next? And then we kind of forget to celebrate. Oh, this moment is what I've been dreaming of before. Yeah.
Oh, how meaningful that you now turn the table and
This is really. I'm glad no one's asked me. Yeah.
Oh, thank you so much. What matters now? What would you answer? I'd love to hear. Send me a message at regina@impact.com. And if you ever thought about starting your own podcast, you will love working through the first chapter of my podcasting course. You can grab it for free at impact.com/free. As we wrap up for today, make sure to follow TEDxTinHauWomen. You will find all the socials in our show notes. And last but not least, I also want to recommend 2 fabulous podcasts that you can start binge listening to while you're waiting for the next episode of #Impact. And that podcast I want to give a shout out to, first of all, is Homegrown, one of my favorite Hong Kong-based podcasts, and actually one of the TEDx speakers that was part of this TEDxTinHauWomen event. Lou, she is host of that podcast, and she and her co-host, they have just such a great chemistry. You will absolutely love it. So check out Homegrown. And another podcast I really want you to start checking out is the Entrepreneurs Podcast. And it is run by 2 young women, Ali and Wei Lin. They're absolutely rocking it. And they inspire me so much because I wish I was that courageous putting my voice out there when I was their age. I'll put the link in the show notes for you too. And now all I have left to say is thank you so much for listening, and we will be back with a new episode soon. Bye.